So Gibson have released their, it's been a couple years now, but they put out this, their line of pedals. They resurrected the Maestro brand from the 60s and 70s, I think it was, when the originals were out. And yeah, so now we got some new Maestro pedals.
Just play the damn thing.
Okay, so I'm going to save my thoughts on these until the end of the video. I have here, there's a whole line of these things. I think there's actually 10 of these things now. I did a video a month or so ago, a little more than that now. Guitar Center actually had a call-in deal on the, where you could buy this entire line, all of these pedals for $40 a piece. And then they ran it again a few weeks later at $50 a piece. Why Gibson is doing that, I don't know. Because Guitar Center wasn't the only one running a promotion on these things like that. So I'm not real sure why Gibson's doing that. Maybe they're wanting to sell more of them, get the word out. I'm not sure. Who knows? Regardless, that's how these were purchased. I bought both of these on sale these are the $40 variety, $40 a piece. Why did I only get 2 of them? Again, I'll talk about that here at the end of the video. For right now, initial thoughts, right out of the box, and these have been out of the box for a little bit, but holding the pedals in your hand for the first time, or my hand for the first time anyway, they're very well made. These things are heavy. You can tell they've got some, they've got some weight to them. Very good, very solid build quality. The knobs feel good. They don't feel loose or cheap or anything like that. They're plastic, but they feel more than functional. Same with the switches. Good, tough, sturdy switches, etc., etc. So. And the designs look pretty cool. They look the same, 2 different colors depending on which pedal that you're talking about, but they look cool. So here I've got, I think Gibson released these, or Maestro released these in 2 different waves. They did the first wave that I think included the delay, the Discoverer delay, which is an analog delay pedal, which is what this one is. And then the second wave included the Agena envelope filter, which is what this one is. So 2 waves of 5, there's now 10 of these things out on the market. I went with these 2 for one, because I like delay pedals, and in my opinion, there's really no such thing as too many of them. And my wife would probably disagree, but that's another conversation altogether. And I got this envelope filter here because, believe it or not, this is actually one effect that I didn't have. I don't have an envelope filter, so I decided to get this one. So before we go any further, let's hear them. And let's start with the envelope filter. It's very similar to a wah pedal. Wah pedal is not an on-volt filter, but it's basically very similar to a wah pedal, except without the treadle control. It's got the knob parameters where you can set it and forget it kind of thing. It also has the high and low modulation switch, so you can accent the higher frequencies versus the lower frequencies coming through the effect itself. You know, kind of cool. Adds a little bit more modulation, or not modulation, but adds a little bit more versatility to the pedal itself. A little bit more subtle sounding than I was expecting. I guess I was expecting it to be a little bit more saturated than it is. That may be a good thing for some people. For some people, it may be not what you're looking for. That's up to you. So, moving on. Now, let's hear the Discoverer delay. just like you may have guessed, it's a 3-knob analog delay with a modulation switch. Modulation switch on and off. That's what it is. It's very, very analog. You can tell it gets, the repeats get really, really dirty and distorted as they trail off. It's kind of got that 50s sci-fi horror movie kind of sound to it. Which again, a lot of people like that, and some people might not necessarily be what they're looking for. I'm more of a digital delay kind of guy. I do like analog delay, though not as much as digital, but I do like analog delay. Shit. But I do like analog delay. This one is very, very okay. And here's why. I think brand new, these pedals, no sales or anything like that. Just going buying one, straight off the shelf, straight off the website, Guitar Center, Musician's Friend, Sweetwater, wherever you prefer to buy pedals from. Brand new, $159 a piece. $159. And I wouldn't pay that much for these pedals. I just wouldn't. Especially now that I've tried them. If you follow my channel, you know that of all the pedals that I've demoed, I've primarily demoed distortion and overdrive pedals more than anything else. That's probably what I like best. I like drive pedals. I heard a couple of demos of the distortion and overdrive pedals out of this line, and I passed on both of them. I didn't like the way, based on the demos that I heard, I passed on both of them. I didn't like the way any of them sounded. So, thanks, but no thanks. The other complaint that I have is there's no reverb. There's no reverb pedal in this line. Had there been a reverb, I would have gotten that one too. Reverb's kind of like delay to me. I don't have anywhere near as many reverb pedals, but there's really no such thing as too many of them. If you take the delay, for example, again on its own, and I did not demo this with in the context that I probably would have set it up. I tried to do something a little bit more versatile, a little bit that catered more to what this delay does well in the playthrough that you just heard. So, if that sounded cool to you and sounded like it was something that would work for you and your playing style, by all means. But again, $159 versus something like this from TC Electronic that's been out for several years. Again, also built very well. These, they just had a price drop on these. I think these are selling in like the $30 to $40 range a piece. It doesn't have the modulation switch on it, but still, 30 or 40 bucks. $159. And if you need the modulation switch, you can get a modulation pedal out of the same series for, again, another 30 or 40 bucks. So now you're all in for 60-ish bucks. Maybe no more than 80 for both of these that do pretty much exactly what this does, but for 160 bucks, which is double what this cost. So, in short, these pedals, if you can get them on a really good sale, a really good deal like I did, again, 40 bucks, 50 bucks a piece, buy them. Buy them all. Buy all of them. Buy them all day long. They're good value at that price. They're not $159 pedals. I think what Gibson is trying to do, they're trying to get these in the same arena as like the JHS 3 series, the Walrus Audio Fundamental series, that $100, $120-ish dollar, boutique-ish pedal range. I think that's where they're trying to get these. Even though the price range on these is higher than those. That's Gibson. That's just what they do. They price their equivalent to everybody else. They always price it higher. It's part of their branding scheme. It works for them. I'm not criticizing that. Even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense sometimes, and this is one of those times. So, sale price, good deal, great value. You should definitely go buy them. Full price, there's other options out there in that price range that are going to do a whole lot more than what these will do. Subscribe if you haven't already, please. It would mean a lot to me if you did. Comment down below. And, yeah, adios.